Hey Queen, how are you styling your crown these days? Better yet, the question is, what kind of hair are you using? Whether hitting the runway or protecting your hair for that next big trip, Nkonye, founder of New Village Braid, is here to drop some gems on us, share her inspiration that got her started, and why she's doing it big for the culture. Welcome, Nkonye.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here discussing with you.
Absolutely. Now, what I love is just how life works. Life brought us together through a mutual friend, and we just started to chat. I had no idea that you had this incredible business, but when I discovered you, literally, it was the answers to my prayers. And I think so many women could reap blessings and benefits of this product. So I would love for you to start by telling us a little bit about you, maybe something we don't know, and sharing your inspiration for New Village Braid.
Yeah, so I'll think about the something I don't know, but definitely in terms of the inspiration, like so many Black women, I love protective styles, and I've always loved them. And what I didn't love about it was the itching that would come with, getting the style in sometimes. So this is years ago, I would think about this. While I haven't had the extreme reactions that many other people I knew would have, I still had some irritation. And you're wondering, did the braider braid too tight? Was it the grease then, right? The grease or the gel being used? But after some time and some research, I started to learn more about toxicity and braiding hair extensions themselves. And that's really when I got inspired to use my background in retail, in fashion. Maybe that's the something people may not know. I do have a background in fashion product development. I decided to use all of that, pull it together, and apply it to helping provide a solution for the toxicity in the hair that I started to learn about.
Incredible. Now, and Kanye, where are you from?
Yeah, so my family is from Nigeria. I'm born and raised in the US. So I'm from a few different places. I grew up in Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland, and I've spent time in quite a few places. I've also lived in Nigeria. I've lived in Shanghai. But in terms of where I'm from, where home is, ethnically, all these things, I like to say that I'm a Nigerian born American.
Love it. Now, we appreciate you bringing your background, your care and sensibility for Black women in hair and culture together. So let's talk about the culture of hair itself. What would you say is why it's that go-to thing for us as women? Why is it our crown and all of the things?
Yeah, I really do appreciate that question because when people think of hair, depending on the specific styling, not many people actually think of culture. They just think of maybe protective styling or just wanting to look good. But when I think of braiding in particular, I do associate it with culture, whether, some people feel maybe more further removed from the African culture or not. I still do think that it resonates even as we think about the American and the Black American experience, the Black American culture. Hair has been something that for years, generations, people have styled their hair as a form of not just expression as we do in current times, but in some cases out of identity or, tribal language and identity. Communication of your status, communication of economic status, marital status, all of these different things that we attribute to, the reasons why people have styled their hair over the years. Today, of course, it's protective, it's self-expression, it's style and fashion. But all of those things are reflective of the culture of the moment. So as we think about culture, I very much see braiding hair as something that is a vehicle for communicating, culture and kind of where you stand.
Beautiful. I couldn't agree more. I love that being in the moment. And historically, we should remember that our ancestors would carry seeds and artifacts of home when the transatlantic slave trade took place. That was a piece of them that they wanted to carry. But also hair literally used to carry stories and messages from country and tribes. And, it's such an enriching a part of our identity, like you said, and experience. So now, we're in the 21st century and it's still making bold statements. As you know, we have fought for natural hairstyles to be accepted and to be respected in corporate spaces. So we continue to explore what storytelling and belonging and cultural aesthetics looks like, feels like, and is. So tell us, what was really the turning point for you to make you decide to give the world non-toxic hair? Were you hearing from women like, oh, this is just killing me? Or was this personal? What was that moment for you that shifted things?
Yeah, I think the moment was really, I talked a little bit earlier about my corporate, I'll call it, not just a professional background, but my corporate background. And that really helped to inform my decision to move forward in actually looking at myself as someone who can be the one to provide a solution for, everything that I described a little bit earlier, the issues that women were facing, with toxic hair with these harsh finishes. So I spent more than, at that time, 10, 15 years developing consumer products for a range of different well-known fashion brands and companies. And I also spent time working in garment production in Shanghai and China. So I saw firsthand how products are designed, how they're sourced, how they're manufactured, and how there was always this state of continuous improvement because our clients were always asking, how can we make it better? How can we change the fiber, or change the yarn size, and these types of things as it relates to clothing? So that experience taught me to question the status quo and not to be afraid to do that. So can we make this better? So when I looked at the braiding hair category, I realized that we deserve healthier and more thoughtfully designed options. So I'm glad to see the conversation rising up on this topic with the recent Consumer Reports study being done on hair, the Silent Spring Institute studies being done on hair. But just briefly to answer your question, the turning point was kind of that epiphany moment of, hey, there's this problem, but I can be the one to impact in this area, given my background, given my personal interest in the matter.
I love it. We love it. No, let's continue to expand. Those are really interesting points that you brought up. I love this idea of you being the solution. Literally, you were the solution for me. I was very frustrated with the next steps. We were entering into summer. I knew I wanted to style my hair again, but I knew I didn't want to just go back to the beauty supply store. One, for personal reasons, I want to pour into Black business. Two, I did want to be mindful of my hair care. I have pretty thick and lustrous natural hair beneath these braids, and I do feel the snagging and the pulling constantly with Kankalon hair. I mean, it's just layers to it. And then it was actually someone that made a comment about it. A Black male actually, and he was like, that's really harsh on your hair. And I was like, well, what do I do? Do I give up braids completely? Like, how can I make this work? So in meeting you, I just got so excited to try the hair. Immediately when I got my hair braided, I felt like it was light. It wasn't a lot of heaviness on my neck, which I appreciate. I didn't feel that itching feeling. Whether you decide to put your hair in a silk cap or a silk pillow like me, you're laying on your hair. Your skin, your face, your neck, these things are touching. And I don't think women want to fully embrace these facts, but it could be the reason for outbreaks. So, and things like alopecia. So take us deeper into the real effects of, hair that has toxins and chemicals and, how that's showing up for women.
Yeah. So a lot of the hair on the market is made up of very harmful chemicals. And I outline a lot of this information on my website as well. That's another thing I really believe in, not just providing a product, right, and trying to sell a product, but also providing education and facts around it. But a lot of the hair out there, PVC based, so PVC is polyvinyl chloride. That compound on its own is made up of known human carcinogens. It's made up of materials that are hazardous to human health. Not to talk of the finishing agents that are then applied to many of these hair fibers to achieve certain maybe flame retardants or other characteristics that people tend to think they want. So you have the base material, you have the finishing agents that also contribute to that also in many cases contribute to harmful fumes that are released when hair is either burned or dipped or just reaches certain extreme temperatures, maybe through curling or heating tools. So what's happening is that because the hair extensions are worn so closely to the scalp, to the skin with prolonged contact, people are rocking their braids for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 8, some longer. But either the prolonged skin contact and then the manipulation with the heating tools and hot water and these types of things, fumes are being released. So the impact is not just on the wearer, but also the braider. So on the wearer side, you're wearing this thing that's sitting on your skin. People that have the very extreme, many people have adverse reactions and just write them off. Some people have lighter reactions that maybe last a day, right? Or that last only if they're sweating a lot and these types of things. Some people have very extreme reactions. So even if you're not having a reaction, it doesn't mean that anything isn't, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening. These things are being absorbed through your scalp. And for those people who do have the more extreme reactions, they're experiencing rashes and not just, I've seen boils, I've seen very things that you don't really want to think about, not just on the scalp itself, but the neck, the side of the face. And you're seeing this in children, you're seeing this in women. We're not even talking about the effects at the cellular level. I will not speak on that only because I'm not a medical professional, but it's very serious actually. And sometimes people don't think there's an issue if they don't see it, right? If it's not topical, but that's not always the case. So the itching, the burning, people having to, spending hours for an install only to have to take it out because of the pain, because of the irritation. So that's the one side. Then we're talking about, in addition, the release of the fumes, right? So that braider that's constantly touching the hair with her fingers, and depending on how rough the fibers are, in many cases they really are, they're suffering from micro tears that are happening on their fingertips. So now that hair and those fibers are getting even closer to your inner bloodstream, right? So the impacts are on various levels. People are inhaling fumes, and it doesn't always mean that, it has to be on fire for you to smell something. No, these fumes are still being inhaled. So when we talk about VOCs, volatile organic compounds, we test for all of that. New Village Braid tests for VOCs. We test for the heavy metals. All of our testing reports are provided on the website along with some education. And I think that one of the things that people have to be mindful of when they're hearing about these news stories or the consumer reports or even evaluating my own testing reports and material safety data information is we have to do it understanding that the common consumer has to understand that there's a deeper scientific component to this, and they may not read everything and fully understand it. I take it as my responsibility as a brand for New Village Braid to bear responsibility in helping to explain and to simplify an explanation in a way that can be consumed by most people, right? A lot of it is very scientific. As a brand, I strive for continuous improvement. And in life, I strive for perfection, right? You may never reach perfection. That's actually what makes humans so perfect. We're perfectly imperfect, right? You may never reach the perfection, but you're constantly striving for better. As we learn, we do better. As we learn, we do better. When hair extensions first, started to come out in a bigger way after industrialization, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? As we even thinking about synthetic wigs and things like that, we didn't know what we know now, right? Maybe it took 50, 60, 70 years to get here, right? But now that we know more, what can we do to continuously improve? And that's what New Village Braid has been about. And for anyone out there looking for, safer options, I think they have to take things with not just a grain of salt, right? They should take it seriously, but seek out brands, even if it's not New Village Braid, seek out brands that demonstrate a sense of responsibility and care. Because if they care, if they show that they care, and it shows through the product, not just what they say, right? Their products and their processes, you know, at least know you have an advocate behind the scenes, working with the factories, talking to the material suppliers, working with the right institutions to try and improve and level up the standard for hair extensions in the wider beauty space. I know I've just said a lot, so I'll pause.
Listen, when a brilliant Black woman is speaking, we all sit down and listen. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. Strong moral compass. You're doing something about what you see is, ethically inaccurate. And we know that when we go to a beauty supply store, which is predominantly owned by Asians, they do not have our best interest in mind. This is no shade to them. These are facts, right? The no return policy, the only getting a credit back if you're not content with the hair, or if something happens to your skin or to your scalp, that's it for you. But the fact that you're going the length, you're going the distance to ensure that this is tested, you are striking up conversation. I mean, even your hair has been worn and featured by a few public figures and celebrities. You've got Shaniqua Shandai, actress of Prime TV's Harlem. You've got Jenny BSG, a choreographer. You've got Yemi Alade, an Afrobeats performing artist. I mean, when you know better, ladies, you've got to do better. And even if you had not heard these scientific facts before, I think we've all experienced moments where we were patting our head from the itching. You know, the sun during the summertime is beaming down, and you smell and you feel the heat of your hair sizzling. And next steps, I'm a doula. I think about that for moms when they get their protective styles and they go into the hospital to have baby. You've got an infant that is very sensitive to all the things in the world, and the first thing that they are in contact with should be your skin and not your hair. That's not your hair, right? These types of things affect them as well. So they could break out in rashes. It can affect them. There's layers and levels to it. So, you are here being the solution in Nkonye, and you're providing a solution, which we love. So let's talk about your products. Let's talk about the fun and excitement of it all. But I first want to hear from you. What are some of your favorite or go-to styles, whether protective styles or just for fun?
Definitely. I appreciate that. Now, my go-to style when I'm not braided, because it is important to let your hair rest and breathe and also to develop a relationship with your hair. I'm an advocate for that, although I am selling hair extensions, right? But you need healthy hair. But my go-to are these two-strand twists. If I'm not just rocking a fro or kind of a pullback ponytail fro, it's just these two-strand twists, easy to put in, easy to take out. And it just really locks in moisture, when you treat it right. So I really do love that. Plus, I love the worn look as they start to get a little bit older. Everything doesn't have to always be perfectly polished and slicked back. Now, when I am braided, my go-to style in these past couple years has been just knotless braids. Knotless because it's low tension, right? So it's not the attachment method is such that it's not pulling tightly at your scalp on day one, right? After a nice knotless install, knotless twist or knotless braids, that same day you can pull your hair up, you can put it in a ponytail. You don't have that soreness and the tightness at the scalp from the hair being gripped into the extensions. So knotless braids, usually small or medium, are my go-to. I really do also love the Fulani braids. Those are the, half cornrowed and then out in the back. Yeah, I do love those, but I always tend to be I tend to be almost utilitarian sometimes in my approach. I need a style. If I'm going to spend all this time putting it in, I need it to last looking fresh, and almost new for as long as possible. So the only thing with the cornrows, it's the same even when I braid my kids' hair, right? If I know that they are going to wear the hair for a short time, okay, they can get cornrows. But if I know I need this style to last longer, looking fresh and looking new, I go for the singles. So box braids, knotless braids, that type of thing. The last thing I will say, I'm trying to get back into the Senegalese twist or rope twists. I like those smaller medium. I used to love those back in the day, again, because they are much easier to take down. Not easier, it's just faster to take them down since you're releasing just two strands versus three with the braid. But there we go.
Love it. Yes, I got my Fulani in right now. And I should make mention that I got my hair done specifically at Visions Braid Bar. If you're in the DMV, that's in Oxon Hill, Maryland. And what's really unique about this braid studio is the fact that they carry New Village braid hair. So talk a bit about your relationships with some of your carriers for your collection, and maybe even how, if ladies are braiders themselves or really great at being in front of camera as a creator, they can get involved with your affiliate program.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up. So what I love about my network of stockists and braiders salons is that it is still growing, but I've had the opportunity to build some really great relationships with some of the managers and owners of these establishments. And that's the part that I really love about it, right? There are cases where I'm selling to people I don't know, right? And I'm talking from the business to business standpoint. But when I have the opportunity to really connect with some of the managers, the owners, the leaders in these organizations is really amazing. And you mentioned Visions Braid Bar in Oxon Hill. The owner there, Binta, is amazing. And only after connecting through business, through the salon, through New Village Braid, did we learn that we actually had a prior mutual connection outside of the industry. So that even took our relationship a little bit further. But I love what she's doing, and many like her. So for those that are interested in whether carrying the hair, stocking the hair, or just being somewhat of an ambassador for the brand, there are many opportunities. All the information is on the website. We have our Village tab. If you go under the Village tab, you'll see the opportunities for affiliates. So there's information directly there how you can represent the brand, get a little bit of benefit of a discount by shopping with the brand and sharing that benefit with some of your own customers who shop with your link. But all the information is there on the website if you wanted to become an affiliate. And the greatest thing about it is that you get to take part in the community, the village, in spreading the word about not just the product, but the material safety, right? The product safety of this. And you get to be a part of that movement. And then for salons, braiders, beauty supply stores who are interested, again, all that information is also available. We have a tab called pricing and ordering options for people who are wanting to order a little bit more than the typical maybe individual customer who just needs enough hair for one style or two styles. We do provide a bulk ordering option where your minimum is 50 pieces or more at a higher discount. And then we provide the wholesale option, usually boutiques and braiding salons who will take part in purchasing at a higher minimum of 200 pieces for an even deeper discount. Again, all that information is on the website on there. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. There are many ways that people can engage at a higher level with New Village Braid.
Absolutely. I mean, if we can advocate for Timu, we can advocate for a sister. And she's got options, y'all. She's got Afro kinky hair, there's crochet, pre-stretch, there's boho deep wave, there's even some color, and I've seen some unicorn colors for the kiddies. Back to school, we love it. Y'all go check it out at newvillagebraid.com. Now, I want to wrap up by just kind of circling back to how you got into this. I mean, you talked about your life in Shanghai and being exposed to manufacturing and retail. What would you say, and this is all a growing and learning journey, but what would you say that you are learning about yourself as you're not just an entrepreneur, you're a mother, you're a wife, in the journey of this business and becoming and expanding, what is becoming more and more clear to you?
I love that you asked that question because recently I was just kind of thinking to myself, just sitting quietly and reflecting. I feel during a lot of my time in corporate, I came across a lot of people who would characterize themselves or others or just make call outs about people being perfectionists. I have never considered myself to be a perfectionist. I just have not because I tend to be more like, oh, take it easy. Oh, it's okay. If it doesn't work out, something else will. One door closes, the next one opens. I've kind of had that type of, I guess, free mind about things. But what I'm learning with this brand, especially as I've continued to lean more deeply into multiple aspects and especially as I'm looking to scale, I'm learning that I do have this perfectionist aspect about my approach to the brand and at the operational level, not even what customers see, not like the website or, but at the operational level, the things that I'm doing in the background to make things happen, the conversations I'm having, the way that I send emails, how particular I want to make sure the bullet points are lined up, because it's like, I want to make sure that I'm putting forth the brand as best as possible. And I believe to do that, I have to, perfection has to start within, even when no one's looking. But I think I'm becoming a perfectionist, or maybe I've had it in me and just have reserved it for this thing that matters so much to me. So it's actually very interesting, the amount of energy and time I spend in trying to keep things so perfect, even at the operational level. And on one hand, it's a good thing, but on another hand, I have to check it because, perfection without progress is not progress, right? I can be so busy trying to keep something perfect or write the perfect email or send the perfect kit out to someone that, the core thing goes undone. Whatever that is. So it's like, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm recognizing this, right? It can be a pro, but there's also kind of there's also the balance that I need to make sure that I apply as well.
Thank you for sharing that vulnerably. Balance is key. I don't think any one of us who has put anything out in the world that we deeply care about don't want to approach it with integrity. And that's really what I'm hearing from you, is that you care, you want to approach it with integrity, you want to refine the details. And I mean, her website is great. It's not only colorful and it's got a lot of information. You can tell that she's put a lot of thought and emphasis into it. And we appreciate that because you want to be informed about your product. There's so much out there and there's so many promises. So I honestly felt very assured in making the purchase of your product because of the work that you put in Nkonye. So I do want you to know that it goes a long way and we appreciate it. So keep doing your thing, sis. So at this time, I want to encourage you to plug anything you'd like. What's on your mind and heart? Do you have anything coming up next? Or even just in the now, what would you like for our sisters to know?
I appreciate the space you're giving me for that. A couple things. I want to say I will pat myself on the back with this next thing. I feel proud of myself. Again, this is an internal operational thing that I personally decided to put my hand on with the business. So I've been investing in taking advantage of today's technology and incorporating that into the customer experience as they land on my website, for example. So I wanted to kind of highlight that I have launched a product quiz, a hair quiz on the website. So there's a new tab, if anyone's been watching, on the far right when you go onto the website, called hair quiz. And you can just take the quiz. It's like a 2-minute quiz where you answer a few questions about what style you like, why you wear braids, if you typically experience discomfort when braiding, what textures you like, all of those kinds of things. So take the hair quiz and you'll get a recommendation on what hair that I think you would like best. So that hair quiz, my tech savvy, I tried to apply there. And then also I've introduced a new customer service agent that will enable you to get answers 24/7, probably faster than I or my customer service person can give. So just look for some, when you first come on the website, there'll be a pop-up on the website. And if there's not a pop-up, just look for the little green and white chat icon and then just click on it and you'll be introduced to the new customer service agent. Her name is Nia, and ask any question you'd like in there. And it's been set up in a way that it should be able to answer just about anything. And even if not, people can still send an email, hello@New Village Braid, for other customer service there. Okay, aside from all of that, really exciting things. Recently, I launched the NVB Princess line. That's where you see the glow in the dark, the tinsel, the shimmer hair, all of those fun new options, and have also introduced some shorter lengths. So typically our pre-stretched hair has been at 20 inches. I now have it available at 14-inch length for those younger ones or anyone just wanting a shorter style. So we have that going on. Back to school is going on. I am working to try and keep up with demand. It's constantly changing, and that's a good thing. Demand is growing, which means things are selling out faster. So I'm working to get a better handle on that to keep product out there for people. So we do have a new shipment that will be on the way. So by mid-August, mid to late August, we'll be restocked in just about everything again. We still have plenty out there, but I just wanted to mention that there will be another restock just ahead of the back to school time for some people. So make sure you check it out. You can always set a notification on any product you're interested in. There's an option to notify when available if it's out of stock, and you'll receive an email. Be one of the first to know when items are back in stock. I'm trying to think what else. I have quite a few things going on. I'm just trying to decipher super quickly what should be shared at this point. You know what? Just follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok at New Village Braid, follow on Facebook, Pinterest, wherever you're at, we are there as well. Follow, like, share it to your friends. And remember, it's not just product that New Village Braid is putting out there, it's the education, it's the mindset, it's the way we think, it's our ambitions around the environment as well. We didn't even talk about the recycling program. So check that out on the website. Go to the Recycle Your Hair tab. We do provide a hair recycling service to help give your used hair another life in another world, in another industry. It does not go back into new hair, but it goes on to new products. So make sure you check that out as well. Thank you, Kayla.
Absolutely, y'all. We love it. Tech savvy, efficiency, eco friendly. I mean, if you're listening and you're tuning in, I just have to say, welcome to the village. Because if you're not convinced, I don't know where else you'll find such quality and integrity right here at New Village Braid. So thank you for sharing all of those gems, for being an answered prayer and a solution to so many. And I'm excited for your journey going forth in Nkonye. I'm so excited. And again, I'm gonna be rocking my hair like I don't care, and I'm gonna be telling all of y'all to go get your hair. Yes, you can absolutely do that. Thank you all for tuning in for today's podcast episode. Don't forget to like, share this with another sister who needs to hear about what's happening in the village and can join the village. And we will see you with your hair on the next go round. Thank you, Nkonye.
Thanks so much.